We have one more caller on the line. I believe it's from Idaho. I don't know if we've had an Idaho caller before. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. What can we help you with today?
Hi, Julie.
Nice to meet you all.
You too. How
My
can we help?
question today, I'm in a situation where my uncle is nearly 90. He'll be 90 in March. I did not anticipate being on his property, and long story to get here, but I'm kind of his caregiver, but he's an extreme pervert. He's a Jehovah's Witness, where I learned through the whole situation getting to where I am now that Jehovah's Witnesses, the cult behavior, all of that is nonsense, and I became an atheist through this experience of landing where I am here today.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem I'm having is I'm stuck here. I don't have anywhere else to go, and I'm learning that what he's doing to me is abusive, and I kind of wanted to just get some insight onto, I don't have a choice but to go to his house and take a shower, but when I come out of the shower, he's eyeballing me like I'm eye candy. And I ended up just not wearing the normal clothes I used to wear, and I started turning into kind of a bag lady type looking until I finally set a boundary where, all right, you can't touch me, you can't look at me, but I'm in just a gross feeling place because I have been abused, and he knew the guy that abused me, and all he could do was ask me questions about, how did that happen? What did this do? Oh, it was like such a perverted way of looking into my story. He had no empathy and no compassion. And that was all he wanted to know was the abuse part of my life, not who I am. And he's still, I want out of here, but I can't. But I would like to have some input on how to deal with somebody with this type of attitude. Unwanted perversion. That's kind of, I just don't know really how to handle it when I have been abused, and I don't want people touching me. I don't want people eyeballing me like eye candy. Okay, I've said enough.
Yeah. Christy, I'm going to throw this to you.
Sure. Well, I definitely want to start by just saying that this isn't right, that you shouldn't have to be in this situation. And, I definitely want to make sure you're raising the question and remaining curious about whether or not you do have to stay in this situation. I'm going to answer it from the perspective of assuming that you've made the choice, that you're safe, that this is the right place for you, and that this relationship is one that you just need to endure. But I want to make sure that that's never assumed, and that if you feel like it is the right and the safest and the healthiest thing for you to do to get out of that situation, then I would definitely encourage you to do so. That said, if this is where you're at and this is the experience that you're going to have to deal with, I'm going to recommend to you the work of Kristin Neff. Kristin Neff is a writer and a researcher right here in Austin, out of UT Austin. And she has been doing a lot of really interesting research on self-compassion. And basically the bottom line of that research is that there's a difference between the way we treat our friends and family, people that we see as people, and people that we treat as objects, or people that are outside of the us in the us and them paradigm. And her book, Self-Compassion, I think could be a really compelling way for you to wrap your mind a little bit around this dichotomy and to develop a little bit better understanding of who you are as a human being and what that actually means, and how to maintain that sense of humanity, even when you are encountering ideas that are very different from that.
Very cool. I love to read. I've just added it to my list.
Okay, well, glad to hear it. She also leads a number of different meditations and TED Talks, and has a bunch of other resources available online. I'll make sure to include some links to her work in the footnotes for this episode. But I think that would be the first place that I would point you towards. Is there anything else that y'all might recommend in just feeling more like a human being when you're being treated so much like an object?
Yeah, being objectified against your will is a form of non-consensual sexual activity, right? That's not something that should be minimized, right? It's not just, oh, well, suck it up, get over it. That is a big invasion of your personhood and your autonomy and your ability to consent to these things. So I do want to kind of affirm you in that is something that you should feel upset about, and you're not overreacting, you're not being sensitive. This is a real issue. So for what that's worth, I want to kind of drive that home. And I would kind of there's only so much we can say in certain situations. I know a lot of people call in like, I'm the only atheist or the only person in the LGBTQ community in my town. And a lot of the time the answer is, can you move somewhere where there are more people like you? And I always feel weird asking people that, because it is a big step and not everybody has that capability. And I feel like in this situation, it is very similar. You say you need to be here. And I would just encourage you to ask, do you really, like, is there a way that you could get out of this situation? Do you have other options that you could help with? Even bringing someone with you if you need to go to this place and spend some time caring for this person, even having a friend come along just to give you that extra support and maybe act as a buffer. So I would encourage you, if you want to reach out to our different groups on Discord, on Facebook, and either just talk about this with people who will understand, or if you need monetary assistance, right, you can put together something, and I'm sure that the groups that are watching this show would be happy to try and support you in how we can in getting you out of this unfortunate situation.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also add that you need to be careful, because feeling trapped like you seem to be at the moment can lead to very serious repercussions. So, as we said, make sure you address this part first. You need to address the situation first from the perspective of finding other ways to approach this situation. You need to make sure you don't feel trapped, because that's, in my opinion, that's the biggest danger you are in right now. It leads to catastrophic mental states. So make sure you address that first.
Absolutely. Empower yourself however you can.
That's why I called. I'm feeling like I'm in a prison that I can't get out of.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you called in. If you need to call back, if something else comes up, if you have more questions, if you need more advice, we're happy to take your call again. But I would definitely recommend reaching out to the people in our community and just getting some support there as well, because you certainly are not the only person in our community who has had to deal with this kind of unwanted attention in a situation where they couldn't quite control it. So thank you so much for calling in, Julie. I really wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I feel so much better. You guys really, really helped me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'm so glad to hear it. Take care.
Good
A
night.
little bit of encouragement.
That's moving too, you know. Julie is giving something of herself here, right? She is volunteering, I'm assuming, to be this person's caretaker and is taking on that responsibility. So even apart from everything else, good for Julie for stepping up.
Yeah, for real. It's upsetting to hear, and to think of yourself as not having more options. So I hope the best for her.